Alright guys, back at the bench. We've got an EMEK 100 right here. Customer picked it up, took it to the field, and they wrote here, it says, I took my EMEK out for the first time. Marker fired a few times when I was chronoing it, but I noticed that air was leaking from the gun. When I reattached the tank, the gun wouldn't fire. Each time I reattached the tank, it would either leak or not fire. I don't know if that means it would leak only and not fire, or would leak and not fire. I'm not sure. I tried this with two different tanks, same results. Both tanks worked fine on my Ether 3 and a Mini GS. So let's open her up, see what we got going on here. And there's nothing. The barrel's clean. The gun looks super clean. Velocity adjuster is not all the way out. I expected to see this like turned whoop, all the way out, over pressurizing everything, but that doesn't look to be the case. Toolkit's still in here. Grease hasn't even been opened. So I mean, it does look like this is straight off the field. Like, gassed it up, had a problem. Which for Planet, that's pretty weird. Don't see that too often. All right, let's put that back there. All right, so first things first, from where the reg is set right there, I'm gonna go ahead and gas it up. See what happens. Here we go. So it definitely has a leak from the bottom. Let's do this. Let's put those to the side. Let's do this again. So it's coming from right in this area right here. It doesn't, there's a bleed hole for the reg. I don't know if it's coming out of that bleed hole. Feels like it might be coming out of there, but it's also coming from around the base here. Definitely not firing. All right, so leak, yes. Firing, not firing, yes. So let's go ahead and start looking at this thing. Let's pop the reg off. Let's see if maybe one of the O-rings is missing down here at the bottom. I don't know. Let's take this off. Screws there. All right, so it is pulling the whole pipe out. It's not a big deal. Less parts to have to come out, the better though, right? So I'm gonna put this one back in. All right, let's unscrew. I'm gonna take this whole thing off. Both O-rings are there. Although I do see, it might be hard for you guys to see, but I can see. If I scrape along here with my pick, there's like metal, bits of metal, like silver, like steel bits on there, like metal shavings. But both O-rings are there. Remember, a leak was coming from like, this is where the housing, like this part right here, comes to right about here on the reg body. So maybe getting a leak through here, and it's coming up that way. But let's open this up too and see what's going on inside here. Again, I see metal pieces, little metal flake up on here. I don't know if you can see that on my finger or not. I think there's definitely pieces on there. That's disheartening. Don't like to see that. Oh, well, here's a problem. I can't pull the spring out. It's stuck. So I'm going to guess in here, before I even pull this thing apart, that this velocity adjuster was cranked up in this way to lower velocity, but just over tightened, and it has pushed the adjuster housing all the way up, and it's inside of the spring. That's my guess. And I'm right. Look at that. This is smashed. The O-ring has just been crushed and smashed into the spring. The brass piece of the adjuster has been pushed inside of the spring, just from like crank that thing in. And then our velocity adjuster isn't even screwed in. Or I see the bottom part of the adjuster. It's completely unscrewed right there. All right, so we need to break that thing off of there. And that's where our leak was coming from. This O-ring couldn't even seal inside there. Obviously, it's been smashed up into the spring assembly. So there's our first problem. Make sure we get everything out of there. We're going to open that up. And then this. There's a bottom right there. So this really should never even get that close to that. Once we're tightening this down, so this is what it looks like on the inside here. We got this and this and this. Now there's a ledge on the inside where the spring rests right there. Piston runs through that, and this goes in here. When we're tightening this, or we're trying to drop velocity, as soon as you feel resistance, you should stop. All right? So as we're adjusting this up, and obviously the spring is compressed down inside there, which I can't do with my fingers. But when that bottoms out down there and hits that reg seat inside there, you'll feel it. It'll be harder to turn. And that's when you stop. You don't need to crank it by really tightening it. It doesn't make it reduce pressure any better. It just eventually drives this thing up into the spring, which we don't need to happen right there. So let's replace a couple things. That one out of there. Grab an O-ring from here, put that on there. We're gonna pull this apart real quick and just replace everything that's inside here. Because I don't know what kind of metal's in here right now. So this top piece has an O-ring on the outside, but it also has one on the inside, and a lot of people forget that there's one inside there. Even if they're looking at the schematic, they don't register that there's one inside. A couple other O-rings. So down inside here, there's a little size 8. The piston's going to run through that right there. So we need to replace that one. First, just want to make sure this is cleaned up. Reg adjustment, small bits, tiny pieces. Alright, so let's get this top O-ring sorted. There. And this bottom one. And getting this O-ring in and out, if you don't have a pick, it's not going to work. So just make sure you get yourself a pick set. And then you'll find that, you know, there's certain shapes that you like better. Like I bend my picks all around to find that shape that I like that helps for me. Helps me get the job done. And some of these O-rings that are recessed down in sections, they can be a little bit harder to do, but you just be patient. You can get it down in there. What you don't want to do is ever stab, though, obviously. I use the back side right here to push and move, and then I use the point if I need to remove something. But if I'm trying to set an O-ring in a place, you don't want to poke holes in it, so be careful. Alright. Make sure anything that's in there is gone. Set that to the side. Wipe this off. There. Let's clean this out. Obviously try to eliminate anything going through anything. You can go there. Replace these outside O-rings. Alright, these are 15s, I think? Yeah. Oh, come back here. Alright. Get a couple of those. Done. Now we want to replace this down here. So we're going to take this lower O-ring off of here. And then we're going to change out the seat also, just because the seat's probably okay, but you never know. Since we're going to do the whole thing, we might as well replace it. Now what we don't need to replace is the purge pin that's underneath it. So it's a pin and spring that sits inside there. That's going to be fine. And there. So we have our reg seat. Get that out of the way. That's the wrong bin. Alright, so now make sure that our purge pin goes in the middle. Then we can push that down. Nice clean surface. Take our top. We're going to put it on. Forgot our O-ring on the bottom here. want to make sure that these pieces are tight. So Allen in the bottom, run this through the holes, and then snug that up. We don't want those two pieces to separate like they did before. Then we're going to start to reassemble. A little bit of grease, a little bit of grease. A little bit in there, but we do need to get it further down. Come in through the top. Remember that size 8 O-ring that was on the inside there. You need grease on that one too. And then I'm going to put pressure on it with my finger just so that it hooks up, starts threading down. And I'm going to come all the way out. A little bit of there. A little bit of there. I'm going to put a little bit on here. That's going to run through that small O-ring that's on the inside of the adjuster. And drop in our spring. And you can see, if you look down inside there, you can see that the brass adjuster right there is below the surface where this sits on. And then we're going to come in through here. We're going to put that in there. Come in like this. And screw this together. There we go. Now, somebody just plugged in the lift over there. A couple of you guys have commented like, oh, that buzzing noise that's going on. You can hear it now. So, turning. Right there. That's where it bottomed out. If I crank on this, the same thing's going to happen. I'm going to force the adjuster up into the spring. You don't need to do that. You get to this point, done. I always recommend, if you are, the direction I'm turning this way is lowering velocity. I recommend that you lower velocity with the gun degassed. That way, the pressure that's built up in the reg, you're not fighting that pressure while trying to turn. Degas the gun, make the adjustment down or in, and then gas it back up again. If you're increasing by coming this way and removing the piston away, or the adjuster away from the piston, you can do that under pressure. You're not going to, something's going to happen. It's not going to make it harder. You're not going to potentially cause a problem. But if you are driving the adjuster towards the piston, it's always best to do that degassed. Or while you're shooting, you know, either way. All right, so let's gas or grease this bottom part up right here. And then let's go ahead and set this back in. Like that. And remember, we're going to gas up with our reg off, and then we're going to back it up and see how it goes. I'm going to need just a little grease on the inside here to connect to there. Drop that in. And then we'll do like this. Done.
No, I brought paint for retail.
And done. Alright, so let's gas up and see where we're at now. Alright, so no leaks. And gun is cycling. Velocity is low, obviously, because we've got the velocity adjuster turned so far in right there. definitely need to adjust for that. I'm gonna grab the barrel real quick. Hold on. So let's see here. Right now, we're at 251. $256. Let's and turn it up. We're going to do like a half turn. We need to see where we're at. $269, $266. So let's come up a little bit more. We'll do another half. That's probably going to be okay for most fields. 280 is where we're at for fields typically these days. 286, 288, so we might even be a little hot for some places. 287, but I think we're good. So there we have it. That whole leak was just caused from over tightening or trying to reduce pressure too much right there. So over adjustment, it's pretty common on all guns. But that's where we got. So easy fix right there. I'm going to pull the reg up or the bolt apart, just make sure there's no metal shavings that got up into here, and then done and dusted on this one. You'll see it up on the refurbs. So EMEK 100, leaky issue from the bottom, easy solve. See you guys next time at ANSgear.com.